good pieces this year. But I want to ask you guys something. Um, a while back, we signed Sam Howell, right? So we moved back from the third round to the fourth round to sign Sam Howell. My question to the panelists is really, are you guys okay if the Seahawks were to draft a quarterback this year, knowing that they already moved back from the third to the fourth, right? And they have Geno and they have Sam Howell. Would you be okay if they drafted a quarterback this year? Smitty, go ahead. We hadn't heard from you in a minute.
Oh, yeah. You know, I think looking at kind of the NIL and the whole pandemic year, I was listening to John Lynch earlier, and he was talking about how there's 83 guys that they gave a draft grade to from the fall who literally have returned to school. So what is being anticipated is that next year's draft, not this year's draft, is going to be loaded, you know? So I feel like with the few pieces that we have, and if you've already signed Sam Howell, and the fact that what oftentimes isn't talked about, like 50% of quarterbacks drafted are busts. Let that sink in. I mean, talk about a real roll of the dice. So unless you feel like you got a guy who's like a sure thing, I'm like, I don't know that we waste a pick on, you know, on a QB this year, man. I would kind of be like, you know, if we went and got somebody. So Geno's a holdover. It'd be nice to have somebody, though, so that they could be under the tutelage, because Geno certainly is not the long-term answer. So that puts you out another year. So I wouldn't be mad at it. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, you know, we could wait for the next run.
Let me modify the question a little bit. Let's talk specifics, right? It's pick 16, right? Michael Penix is on the board. Okay. Are we taking Michael Penix, knowing that we don't have a second round pick and we already got Sam Howell, we don't pick again to the third round? Or are we taking another position? I'm asking our two guests. I already know what Doomy thinks. Or are we taking a different position at 16, or do we want to move back and get more assets, more draft assets? What would you guys do if you guys were in the GM seats?
I'm worried about the ink if the card runs.
Tee us up, Kev.
I said,
Kev, what you got?
I said I'd be worried that the ink flew off, that I ran up the card up so fast. Yes, I would take Michael Penix at 16.
Okay.
Smitty.
Yeah. I'm trading back, man, just to get myself more shots. I really love Michael Penix's game. I gotta be honest, there's something about just like the way he moves that just reminds me of kind of like an older guy, man. You know, like this. So he just seems a little frail, man. He just looks like one of the homies, man, after a nice hoop run, man, and he's got the Ben Gay on his, on his knee. So I would trade back, man. Honestly, I think that's our best bet. And then being able to kind of take more shots at what we want. It just seems like, man, we'd really be risking it all, man. Way too early, just all on Michael Penix.
So the 4.4 speed didn't change your mind, huh? That was you.
Nah, man. Did you peep it? It was a real stiff 4.4 too. Like, hey, he looks like me right now. I'm not playing defense, so there's no lateral movement. Once you go to the cup, it's yours. All you got to do is go to the cup, bro. There's no defensive slides here, man.
For the sake of for the sake of love, Green, for the sake of our watchers and listeners, what would you do? Number 16 pick, Seattle Seahawks. Penix is on the board. What would you do?
To me, I brought in this defensive mastermind, right? The first thing I'm doing is I'm moving back and I'm trying to get assets and picks, and I'm letting him plug all the holes that are on this Seahawks defense. You're not going to be able to make strides, in my opinion, until you address the trenches and that you get this defense together. As much as I do like Michael Penix and I'm intrigued by his prospect, I'm not sold to the point where I'm just not picking again to the third round with this kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think the bigger needs are to get people to first round talents that could play on the defensive side of the football And that's what I would try to do. I need picks. I need to get young people on good contracts to fill out this roster. I think Geno is good enough to where he could hold us down this year. And then if Sam Howell can pop or we get a quarterback next year, that's the route I'd go.
That's what's up. I'm with Kev. Give me the ink. Where do I sign? Get me Michael Penix and get him in the building as fast as you can possibly get him. My rationale behind the whole thing is you are correct. I don't disagree with anything you said, Randy. I think we need to fill out the defense. We need a quarterback too. And if I have the opportunity to have one, Michael Penix to me, without the knee injuries or the knee question marks, is probably, I would probably put him as the third best quarterback in this draft, right? Or arguable if he didn't have that injury word around him. And so to me, if I have an opportunity to get a guy that I think is my guy, his arm arrogance and arm talent is unmatched. I haven't seen a guy throw like that in a long time. And so I got a chance to get him with these weapons. I'm going to bring it in, let him sit for a year behind Geno. If he happens to pass Geno, that's fine. And then to your point, Randy, I am going to build out the offense. I'm going to get what I can this year. And then next year, I'm going to play the draft, knowing I've got a quarterback on a rookie deal. Now I can cut Geno. I got a quarterback on a rookie deal. Geno's $30 million goes off the books. I can play free agency wild, so I can make a lot more splashes and play the draft. My challenge was pushing quarterback down the road. Every other position, I feel like you can kick down the road. But when you feel like you have the quarterback in your face, and the hypothetical you gave me was Penix is there at 16. So if he's there, every other position I think I could get next year. I can get other years. You can figure out how to get a D tackle. You can get D tackles in free agency. You can get everything in free agency. What you very rarely can get is quarterbacks. And if you do, you're paying way top dollar. And so I mean, it's pretty proven at this point. The way to build it out is with a rookie quarterback. I have an opportunity to hit the reset button with this offense. I just picture Penix throwing the ball to Jackson Smith-Jigba and DK and Noah Fant. And yeah, I like my chances, man. And I got his old coordinator. Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up.
The boy can spin it. He can spin it. There is no question about that. But can we talk about the fact that the interior of this O-line is really problematic? So it's like you go get him, but now you've also created even greater risk for Geno, who we know needs all the protection he can get.
Yeah,
I feel like Geno made his mind up in the huddle where he's going with it.
I don't mind. If we're all in agreement that this is not a one-year fix, then you're not going to fix all the things at the same time. And if you get a chance to get somebody with elite traits, which is what we're saying Penix has, and he's falling because maybe injury concerns, etc., at 16, which, like Lamar fell to the end because certain things people didn't like about him. Mahomes fell to 10 because certain things or whatever. Like, sometimes people fall who have elite traits for some strange reason. And if you could take advantage of that and get that in the building on the rookie contract, all that stuff, like, yeah, sure, maybe the offensive line isn't perfect right now, but guards can be had in the third round frequently. Guards can be had in the fourth round frequently. I'm not saying they'll like solve all the problems this year or anything like that, but like, you getting him in the building, Geno's playing this year. You have all your picks then next year. You have free agency next year with a lot more money if you want to go sign a big guard, a big center or something like that, if that's what you need when Penix starts next year, etc. And you get, again, if we're hoping that McDonald's specialty is getting the most out of players like Clowney, etc., like I said, and if he can turn Mafe and, we have Leonard Williams now and Derek Hall into something, etc., maybe he won't. We don't know. But if that's the thing, quarterback is the hardest thing to find if you can get somebody who can be in the upper tier. And if you can't, I agree.
Only thing I would add to it, and then you guys can take it as well. Only thing I would add to it is I'm not looking for Geno to start. So the risk, I'm not looking for Penix to come start. So the risk of like, well, you got Penix, but there's no guard. I'm like, hey, Geno, man, you went out there with that last year, play with it again, right? We're going to have a hole somewhere. But I think I would still go Penix because I'm not looking for you to start this year. By the time Penix is looking to be my starter, the guard position will be resolved. whether it's free agency or through the draft next year, I'll be able to. But I'm looking at it as Penix is not my starter this year. He's coming in to sit, and next year he's going to be my starter. That's the plan.
I hear you guys, and I actually hope it happens because I would love to see it, right? I'm interested in it. I would say, Kevin, you gave two great examples, but I felt like Baltimore Ravens were in a great situation to where they could take that. They didn't have to fill a ton of holes, and so did Kansas City. I worry about Penix for a couple reasons. The most important is that he's already had injury history, right? And so I don't want to be building it as he's starting to start, because you're not going to bring in anything of significance as far as the trenches this year, because you're not picking to the third or fourth round. And Snyder hasn't had great history or success drafting in the trenches, right? And so what I would prefer to do is address those first and then plug in the quarterback so we could start the clock right away, versus sitting on him and the clock actually starts a year or two from now, and then you got to really hit the ground running. That's just my thought, but I think either could work. But I just think obviously there's challenges either way because of the hole that the Seahawks are in as far as overall talent.